Hey, this is the 7th episode of Manga Masterclass, where I go through all the manga I've read / am reading and make a video reviewing it. In this episode, I finally start the letter C, and the manga that I'll be talking about is Chainsaw Man. I just did a reading Chainsaw Man in a week video, so if you want to, please be sure to check out that video in the description. Anyways, I see no use in stalling any longer, so let's just get right into it. Now, I have to say, knowing Chainsaw Man Part 1 was published in Weekly Shonen Jump, I was very surprised when I saw just how gory Chainsaw Man was. Now, I had read the manga before, but I either completely had forgotten just how gory this was, or first part of part 1 was like especially gory. I imagine how many debates while Chainsaw Man was being published sparked in the Weekly Shonen Jump office, as their target demographic is children and teens. While I imagine a lot of teens might have liked this, but children? Seeing this amount of gore? Imagine the amount of concerned phone calls by those children's parents saying that their children are traumatized. But personally, I really liked it how it was. It felt oddly satisfying / refreshing seeing an author draw and write just the way they want to, with no limitations. I was recently talking about Chainsaw Man with a friend of mine, talking about how manga overall, and how people would look at you like you were a disgrace and like you were disgusting and filthy if they learned that you read manga. But the first manga that changed that, / the first manga that was really popular even before an anime announcement, was Chainsaw Man. That means that Chainsaw Man was really special, even back in the day. I'm saying this like this was fucking 30 years ago. After rereading all of the manga, I remembered so much that happened that I had just completely forgotten. Like, I guarantee what I'm about to tell you, you have no recollection of. Do you remember Denji's fight with the Muscle Devil? Yeah, neither did I. Unless you do, then good for you, I guess. Even when I was reading this in the manga, I was wondering, what? Since when did this happen? But something else I was really surprised about was how good the fight with the Eternity Devil was in the manga. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that I watched the entire anime and then I read the manga from where the anime left off. And then I reread the entire thing a year later / a few days ago. Anyways, as I was saying, I thought this in the anime was really good, but in the manga, this was one of my favorite arcs / fights in the entire series. Like, it may be my favorite fight in the entire series. It's kind of weird to say that, as there are so many better fights in the series, like the Makima versus Denji fight, the Reize versus Denji fight, and a lot of others. But this one just somehow surprised me so much that, at least for now, it's my favorite fight. Alright, I'll start by naming some things I like / strengths of the manga of Chainsaw Man. Even though I said it's very gory and that pretty much it was unique, I think it's actually a great starting manga. Like, if Chainsaw Man was your first manga, then I think you would keep reading more manga, as Chainsaw Man is kind of a beginner-friendly manga in a way. I remember I saw another YouTuber give this example. I have no idea of when this was or who it was, I just remember the fact. It's this panel. We get shown the panel of Power pretty much saying there, and in the next panel we see Power pointing her finger towards the house. Fujimoto is good at making stories easily understandable / beginner friendly. Another good thing is the good but chaotic and at the same time easily understandable art. Now, you might be thinking, what the fuck do you mean by chaotic but at the same time understandable art? It's like this. During the fight scenes, like this one that you see on screen right now, you can both not understand anything that's happening and at the same time understand perfectly what's happening. It's kind of weird. I also like how, if you've read Bakma, you know what I mean. You can see the author's face in their work. I'll try to explain it so it makes sense. It's kind of like what makes them stand out. For Fujimoto, it's his batshit crazy stories, as seen in both Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch. Or in the case of Tsugumi Opa and the Takeshi Obita duo, they're more of the calculating type, where they write intricate stories where you have to pay a lot of attention and think for yourself how everything ties in. A better way to say this is that they are good at thought-provoking manga, as seen in Death Note and Bachman. Another good thing that I think is really underappreciated about Chainsaw Man is the very simple character designs. This is extremely important for multiple reasons. But before that, this isn't because Fujimoto can't do high quality character designs. The first example that I can think of that proves this point is the Eternity Devil. That character design is very, and I mean very fucking detailed. While if you look at the main characters, their design is extremely plain and simple in comparison. A good comparison is Hunter x Hunter, where you can clearly see that Togashi can and does very high quality and very detailed character art, but chooses simple character designs for the main characters for a very simple but at the same time extremely important factor. First is recognizability. It's extremely important that any person can see the basic character design and immediately know who it is. Both Fujimoto and Togashi do this. Another reason they do this is because it's good for fan art. It's important because if a lot of people start drawing a character, then other people could start to like the design / just be interested in general and try to learn more about where they come from, and it's pretty much free publicity. Like, pretty much anyone can draw Denji. Just watch me do this real quick.
Perfect!
Perfect. Another but less important reason is just the time it takes to draw them. As if they spend less time drawing the main characters, then they can focus on drawing other things, like backgrounds or other characters or whatever else. As I just talked about character design, let's talk about the characters. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like most of the characters. Or more accurately, I didn't find them appealing or interesting in any way. In part 1, there's only 3 characters that I like. There aren't any oddballs in here. They are just the main characters. Denji, Aki, and Power from part 1, honorable mentions go to Reiza and Kishibe. And from part 2, Nayuta is a godly character. Nayuta is the best character in the entire series. But other than Nayuta, the other good characters are Denji and Yoshida. Honorable mentions go to Yoro and Kwangsi. I think this is a good way to describe Denji. He has no filter. Or we all think the same things as Denji, but Denji says them out loud. That's why I think everyone loves Denji so much as a character. I like Aki because he's just a good guy. The world has always been against him, but he still kept going. That's why I love that he has 2 happy-go-lucky characters like Denji and Power by his side. It's good to see him towards the end start recognizing Power and Denji as family. His end was really sad. Have him being killed by his new family? Fuck. Alright, now's not the time to talk about Aki's death. Let's move on to Power. How can someone hate Power? Apart from when she tricked Denji, she's always been the best character in part 1 of Chainsaw Man. She's like Denji, but a devil and a girl. She's so funny and impulsive, and I love seeing her and Denji's chemistry. It's fun to see. Moving on to part 2. Nayuta! Best character. She is truly the only character that cared for Denji in part 2. In part 1, it was Aki and Power, but not to the same degree. Also, I forgot to mention Pochita. Pochita is also on the same level as Nayuta, but I just love Nayuta way more. Nayuta truly is family to Denji. Nayuta always did everything that's best for Denji. She knew something was off with Asa and tried to keep her away, and even when Denji pushed her away, she was the bigger person and still helped him right after he pushed her away, essentially sacrificing herself there. Nayuta, why did you have to die? I don't like Denji as much as I liked him from part 1, but he still is somewhat likable. But he's still really impulsive. But I suppose that's what makes him him. Yoshida is also a good character because everyone else from public safety died or quit. He stayed, and he, in a way, really tried helping Denji. He gave Denji so many opportunities. I like Yoshida way more now than I did in part 1, probably because he actually gets screen time now. And the last good thing is the really unique powers for the devils in part 2. I'll try to keep this point short, so here's just a few examples. The Falling Devil, the War Devil, and the Aging Devil. I like their powers, especially for the Falling Devil. But finally, let's move on to the bad of Chainsaw Man. There really isn't as much to talk about, so let's just get this over with. The main and pretty much the only thing to talk about is the pacing. While for the first part of Chainsaw Man is good, in the other half, the pacing really just shoots up. I think the pacing is way too fast. And for part 2, unpopular opinion, it was really good. I think part 2's pacing was really good. Now, before you dislike and report my channel and dox me, hear me out. Most people don't like the slow pacing. But when you think about it, there's never been a chapter that doesn't have anything happen. In fact, the only difference is how the pacing is handled. While for part 1, the main focus is the fights, for a good part of part 2, the pacing is set more towards character development. So it's just that the 2 parts are different. Part 1 is fights and part 2 is characters plus fights. Alright, I think that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and subscribe, and if you've made it to the end, I know you like Chainsaw Man. So click on either one of these videos that you see on screen now. On the left, there is the Reading Chainsaw Man in a Week video, and on the right is another series I'm doing where I make reviews on series' volume 1s. And as you can see, that video is about Chainsaw Man volume 1. So click on either one. See ya!